The Forgotten Giant. The moon of Kepris, 9 had not echoed with human voices for 35 years. Once, it had been one of humanity's busiest military foundries, where towering war machines were assembled beneath blazing orbital furnaces. Like and subscribe my channel. During the brutal Titan War, thousands of engineers worked around the clock, forging the steel guardians that stood between Earth and extinction. But when the war ended, the factories fell silent. Production stopped, the workers left, and Kepris, 9 became little more than a forgotten graveyard of rusted machines and shattered dreams. Most people believed there was nothing left worth finding. Dr. Ethan Cross disagreed. At 68 years old, Ethan had spent nearly his entire life restoring forgotten technology. While treasure hunters searched for priceless alien relics, he searched for forgotten human history. He believed every abandoned machine carried a story, especially those that had once defended humanity when survival itself had seemed impossible. Standing before the entrance of an ancient military bunker, Ethan brushed decades of dust from a faded warning symbol. Military Archive Sigma 7, he read aloud. Classified until the end of the Titan War. His young assistant, Maya Ortiz, looked at the reinforced blast doors with raised eyebrows. According to every official record, she said, this bunker was emptied before the evacuation. Ethan smiled. Official records are written by people. Steel tells the truth. The salvage crew activated heavy plasma cutters. Sparks burst across the massive door as layers of corrosion slowly gave way. After several hours, the ancient locking mechanisms finally surrendered. With a deep metallic groan, the doors began to open. A blast of cold, stale air rolled out from the darkness. Emergency lights flickered weakly along the walls, powered by batteries that should have died decades earlier. Dust floated through the air like drifting ghosts as the team cautiously stepped inside. The bunker stretched farther than anyone expected. Rows of abandoned maintenance drones stood frozen where they had stopped working. Rusted weapons lined the walls. Crates marked with faded military insignias remained unopened, untouched since the final days of the war. Then Maya's flashlight stopped moving. Ethan, her voice barely rose above a whisper. You need to see this. Beyond another reinforced security gate stood an enormous chamber. Even in near darkness, something impossible dominated the room. A colossal humanoid machine knelt in the center of the hangar. Nearly 40 meters tall, the giant rested on one knee, its head lowered as though it had chosen to sleep rather than fall. Thick layers of dust coated its armored frame, while battle scars covered nearly every surface. Deep impact craters marked its chest plates. One shoulder carried the remains of an energy cannon that had long since fused into twisted metal. Despite decades of neglect, the machine radiated quiet strength. No one spoke. They simply stared. Ethan slowly approached the giant, running his gloved hand across the weathered armor. Beneath the dust, faded letters emerged. T-800 Titanic Assault Unit. His breathing stopped. It can't be, he whispered. Maya looked at him in confusion. You know what this is? Ethan nodded slowly, unable to hide the emotion in his voice. Every engineering student learns about the T-800 program. Only 12 Titanic assault units were ever built. They were humanity's last line of defense during the Titan War. He looked up at the silent giant, and this one was believed destroyed during the evacuation of Earth. One of the technicians uncovered an old military data terminal nearby. Miraculously, its storage core remained intact. After bypassing ancient security protocols, a fragmented mission log appeared. Unit T-800-01. Status: Mission active. Final order: defend human evacuation until all civilians escape. The log ended there. No shutdown command. No surrender. No record of defeat. Only silence. The realization settled heavily over the team. The machine had never been abandoned because it failed. It had remained here because no one had returned to bring it home. Ethan removed his cap in quiet respect. You kept your promise, he murmured. And we forgot yours. For a long moment, the hangar was still. Then Maya noticed a cable leading from the bunker's emergency power system to the giant's chest reactor. "It still has a trickle charge," she said. Ethan frowned. "That's impossible." Curious, the crew rerouted additional power through the ancient maintenance grid. Warning lights blinked across old control panels as electricity surged into the machine for the first time in 35 years. Nothing happened. The technicians exchanged disappointed glances. Then, without warning, a single crimson eye ignited beneath the dust-covered visor. It glowed for one silent second. The enormous head shifted almost imperceptibly. Before anyone could react, the light vanished. The hangar fell silent once more. No one moved. No one breathed. Ethan stared at the motionless Titan, his heart pounding. With a faint smile, he whispered the words everyone else was too stunned to say. "He's still alive," bringing the Titan back. The discovery of the forgotten T-800 spread across human space within hours. What began as a routine salvage expedition became the largest restoration project in modern history. News networks broadcast images of the battle-scarred Titan standing silently inside the underground hangar, its single glowing eye becoming a symbol of humanity's forgotten past. Veterans of the Titan War watched with tears in their eyes, while younger generations saw the legendary machine for the first time outside of history books. Dr. Ethan Cross refused every offer to move the T-800 to a military facility. "He stood guard here for 35 years, Ethan told the coalition officials. "He deserves to wake up where his story ended." The restoration began immediately. Engineers from every corner of human space volunteered their expertise. Retired mechanics who had once built the original Titanic assault units came out of retirement, bringing decades of forgotten knowledge. Universities unlocked classified archives, recovering blueprints thought to have been lost forever. Even school children sent handwritten letters that were pinned to the walls of the hangar, each one thanking the silent guardian for protecting humanity long before they were born. The T-800 was no longer just a machine. It had become a symbol of perseverance. Yet restoring a legend proved far more difficult than anyone expected. The giant's left arm had suffered catastrophic damage during its final battle. Thousands of hydraulic lines were cracked beyond repair, and its fusion reactor contained microscopic fractures that threatened to overload if restarted. The central neural core, the heart of its artificial intelligence, was scarred by ancient combat damage, leaving entire sections of its memory inaccessible. Many experts believed the damage was irreversible. Ethan refused to accept that conclusion. "We're not building a new machine," he reminded the team. "We're bringing an old friend home." Months passed. Slowly, the Titan began to recover. Fresh armor plates replaced shattered sections while preserving every scar earned in battle. New servo motors were carefully integrated without altering the original design. Human programmers spent countless nights reconstructing corrupted software line by line, refusing to erase the memories that still remained. Every repaired system felt like another heartbeat returning to a sleeping giant. Finally, the day arrived. The entire engineering team gathered inside the massive restoration chamber. Journalists observed from behind reinforced glass while military officials waited anxiously. No one spoke as Ethan stood before the main control console. He looked up at the towering machine. "You've waited long enough," he said softly. His hand pressed the activation switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a deep vibration rolled through the hangar floor. Ancient cooling systems roared to life. Blue indicator lights illuminated across the T-800's chest. Dust cascaded from its armored shoulders as power surged through circuits that had lain dormant for 35 years. The fusion reactor ignited. A low mechanical hum echoed throughout the chamber. Every person held their breath. The giant's fingers twitched. Hydraulic pistons hissed. Its massive head slowly lifted. Then two crimson eyes opened. Bright, focused, alive. The enormous machine scanned the room in complete silence. Its sensors examined every face before settling on Ethan. A calm synthetic voice finally broke the silence. "System restoration successful." The engineers erupted into cheers, but the celebration lasted only seconds. The T-800 continued speaking. Combat readiness, 43%. Its optical sensors shifted toward the hangar doors. Mission status? Ethan stepped forward carefully. The war ended 35 years ago. The machine remained silent. Its processors worked through the information. Finally, it asked a single question. Were the civilians evacuated successfully? Ethan smiled. Every transport ship escaped because you held the line. For the first time, the T-800's posture relaxed. Mission priority fulfilled. But before relief could settle across the room, emergency alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Every monitor flashed crimson. An operator stared at the sensor display in disbelief. Unidentified hyperspace signatures, she shouted. Multiple contacts emerging at the edge of coalition territory. The room fell silent. Military officers rushed to the tactical screens as dozens of massive warships appeared one after another. The formation matched a threat humanity had not seen in decades. Ancient Titan battle formations. The T-800 turned toward the holographic display. Its eyes narrowed. Then it spoke in the same steady voice it had used 35 years earlier. Enemy confirmed. The giant took its first thunderous step forward, shaking the entire hangar. Request permission to continue my mission. Humanity's last guardian. The return of the Titan fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. Within hours, emergency broadcasts reached every member of the Galactic Coalition. Long-range sensors confirmed the impossible. More than 200 warships, bearing the unmistakable design of the ancient Titan Empire, had emerged from hyperspace and were advancing toward inhabited systems. For 35 years, historians had believed the Titans were extinct. They were wrong. Coalition leaders gathered in an emergency summit. Fear spread faster than facts. Some governments immediately ordered civilian evacuations. Others proposed surrender before the enemy even reached their borders. They defeated entire civilizations once. One alien ambassador warned, "We cannot survive another war." Only the human delegation refused to discuss surrender. "We faced them before," Admiral Sarah Hayes said calmly. "And we'll face them again." Inside the restoration hangar, the T-800 stood fully armed for the first time in decades. Its repaired armor gleamed beneath the floodlights, though many scars remained untouched. Ethan insisted they stay. "Those scars are part of who you are," he had said. The machine accepted the decision without objection. Military technicians completed the final weapons checks. Primary cannon operational. Missile systems online. Power output holding at 43%. One officer frowned at the report. 43% isn't enough to fight a fleet. The T-800 turned toward him. "My previous mission was completed with 31% combat efficiency." No one argued after that. Dropships carried the giant toward Earth's defense fleet waiting in orbit. As the transport bay opened, hundreds of human pilots watched the legendary machine step onto the carrier deck. Many had grown up hearing stories about the Titanic assault units. Now one stood before them. Without being ordered, the pilot saluted. The T-800 returned the gesture with a respectful nod. Soon afterward, Earth's combined fleet jumped into hyperspace. The battlefield awaited. The Titan Armada emerged from the darkness like a storm. Massive battleships stretched across space, each dwarfing the coalition cruisers defending the frontier. Their weapons charged with cold precision, preparing to erase another civilization. The first volley struck. Explosions rippled across the front lines as coalition ships struggled to hold formation. Then the T-800 launched. Magnetic boosters hurled the giant into open space. Thrusters ignited across its back as it accelerated toward the enemy, moving with surprising speed despite its enormous size. Every human pilot watched in awe. The legend had returned. The first Titan destroyer fired a beam powerful enough to split a cruiser in half. The T-800 intercepted it. Its reinforced shield absorbed most of the blast, though molten armor sprayed into space. Without hesitation, the machine charged forward, driving its massive fist through the destroyer's bridge before firing its shoulder cannon into the reactor core. The enemy ship erupted in brilliant light. Cheers echoed across every human communication channel. The battle intensified. The T-800 moved with remarkable efficiency. It protected evacuation convoys by placing itself directly between civilians and incoming fire. When ammunition ran low, it tore damaged enemy vessels apart with its bare hands. It even used the wreckage of destroyed ships as improvised weapons, hurling them into advancing Titan formations. Alien commanders watched in disbelief. Modern combat algorithms could not predict its movements. It fought like experience itself. Admiral Hayes smiled as tactical displays showed enemy formations collapsing. "They built newer machines," she said. "We built better warriors." Suddenly, an encrypted transmission arrived from the Titan flagship. The enemy commander had finally identified the machine leading humanity's defense. A distorted mechanical voice echoed across every battlefield frequency. Designation confirmed. Unit Titan 01. There was a long silence. Then came words no one expected. "Impossible. You were destroyed." The T-800 opened a direct communication channel. Its answer was calm, steady, and unmistakably human in spirit. "You made one mistake." The crimson eyes of the ancient guardian burned brighter than ever. Humans never abandon their own. For the first time since the war began, the Titan fleet hesitated. And that single moment of doubt gave humanity exactly what it needed. A chance to win.